Anandamide is a neurotransmitter that binds to the cannabinoid receptor in the brain and the body, and it stimulates a sense of happiness and well-being. Anandamide is a little-known brain chemical, and it's been called the Bliss molecule for its role that it plays in producing the feelings of happiness. It also affects the overall health and the mental wellness in numerous ways. It works by binding to the same receptors in the brain as the main psychoactive compound in cannabis. However, there's many ways to increase the level of anandamide without using cannabis. Anandamide is a neurotransmitter derived from arachidonic acid, a long-chain essential fatty acid. It gets its name from Ananda, the Sanskrit word for happiness, pleasure, joy and delight. It's one of the most important endocannabinoid compounds produced within the body that binds to the cannabinoid receptors in the brain and elsewhere throughout the body. After the discovery of anandamide, scientists began searching for cannabinoid receptors, and they found the human body is full of them. Its discovery traces back to the detection of receptors for THC, the main psychoactive component in cannabis. The THC receptors were found in rats' brains and later in humans' brains. Initially, the scientists were puzzled as to why there were THC receptors in the brain. The reason for their existence remained a mystery until the discovery of anandamide and the realization that it binds to the cannabinoid receptors. Besides residing in several regions of the brain, cannabinoid receptors are widespread throughout the body, occurring in the central nervous system, the spleen, the lungs, liver, kidneys, white blood cells, reproductive organs, and in the gastrointestinal and urinary tract. Because the cannabinoid receptors are located in so many places, the effects of anandamide are widespread. The endocannabinoid compounds and their receptors act as a regulator to keep the brain and the body in a state of balance called homeostasis. Some scientists believe a clinical endocannabinoid deficiency might be the root cause of many conditions, including depression, migraines, fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, irritable bowel syndrome, and Parkinson's. There's also evidence that anandamide can inhibit the production of cancerous cells. While anandamide has numerous health benefits, it's mostly linked to mental health and well-being. Suboptimal levels of anandamide can drop your level of happiness, increase fear and anxiety, and rob you of the ability to cope with stress. The endocannabinoid system, which includes anandamide, offers protection against stress-related psychiatric diseases like major depression, generalized anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Research indicates inhibiting fatty acid amide hydrolase, the enzyme that breaks down the anandamide, might be a useful strategy for treating cognitive dysfunction, drug addiction, anxiety disorders, and traumatic stress. Certain countries are judged as having higher rates of happiness than others, and it now looks this is due in part to genes that affect the level of anandamide. Researchers have found a direct correlation between the presence of a gene variant, RS324420, that affects the anandamide levels and the level of happiness. Countries where the citizens generally rate themselves as very happy have a higher instance of this gene. The gene variant increases anandamide in the brain. Keeping levels of anandamide high increases the likelihood of happier people. Areas of the world with higher instances of the gene and higher levels of happiness include Western Africa, Northern Latin America, and Northern Europe. Conversely, populations with low levels of happiness and low instances of this gene include areas of the Middle East and Eastern Asia. Anandamide is an important brain chemical for memory consolidation. One of the avenues of research has been to study the effects of marijuana on mental decline. It's reported stimulating the brain's marijuana receptors with anandamide may protect the brain against strokes and neuroinflammation. While marijuana interferes with the formation of memories when we're younger, later in life it protects against age-related cognitive decline by reducing brain inflammation and encouraging the formation of new brain cells. It's observed the dose makes the medicine though, and one puff is enough. That's all it takes to produce the noticeable memory improvements in seniors. Anandamide is obviously responsible for a lot of physical and mental health benefits. There aren't many foods that can increase the level of anandamide naturally. Chocolate is one of the main food sources of anandamide. It's one of our most beloved foods, and scientists have tried to figure out what makes it so appealing. There's over 1,500 chemicals in chocolate, and several such as serotonin, tryptophan, caffeine, theobromine and phenylethylamine have been known to be mood boosting. It turns out chocolate also contains anandamide. Anandamide, like other neurotransmitters, is broken down quickly, but chocolate contains compounds that slow anandamide's breakdown. It's also thought that chocolate can cause the brain to produce more anandamide. All these mechanisms work together to boost the level of anandamide and temporarily improve the mood while eating chocolate. To get the most anandamide from chocolate, eat the least adulterated chocolate you could find. This could mean switching from your favourite chocolate bar to cacao powder or cacao nibs. The only other food with significant amounts of anandamide is the black truffle. Black truffles are mushrooms native to Spain, France and Italy, and they grow in forests under oak trees and other deciduous trees. Traditionally, truffle hunters used pigs to seek out the truffles buried underground, but now they also use specially trained dogs, which are less damaging to the truffle beds and less inclined to eat the profits. Truffle hunting pigs and dogs have anandamide receptors, which can explain why they seek out the truffles with great enthusiasm. Not too many people rely on truffles to get their mood-boosting dose of anandamide, as truffles are among the most expensive culinary delicacies in the world. The black truffles can run to $20 per ounce. Besides chocolate and truffles, there's a handful of other foods that contain compounds that can increase the amount or the activity of anandamide. Common black pepper and its hotter cousin, the long pepper, contain a compound that increases the activity of anandamide. And kaempferol is a type of flavonoid that inhibits the enzyme that breaks down the anandamide. So if you eat more foods that contain kaempferol, you can increase the net level of anandamide. Food that contains kaempferol includes fruits like apples, blackberries, grapes, peaches and raspberries, and vegetables like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cucumbers, endive, green beans, lettuce, potatoes, spinach, squash and tomatoes. It's also found in green tea. Anandamide is created from arachidonic acid, an essential polyunsaturated fatty acid. The main dietary source of arachidonic acid is meat, fish, seafood and eggs. The arachidonic acid can be synthesized from linoleic acid, which occurs in substantial amounts in many popular vegetable oils like safflower, sunflower and canola. But since these oils are pro-inflammatory, they are not recommended, unless combined with high doses of anti-inflammatory omega-3s. Linoleic acid is also found in one healthy oil, olive oil. PEA, or palmitoylethanolamide, is a naturally occurring compound that enhances anandamide activity. It's produced by the body to combat inflammation. It's been called the love drug because it mimics the brain chemistry of being in love. It can be isolated from soybean lecithin, egg yolk and peanut meal to create supplements. In some countries, PEA is available as a medicinal food. More than 800,000 patients have been treated with PEA around the world, mainly to treat pain. It's considered very safe and has no known serious side effects or drug interactions. The cannabis sativa plant contains about 110 bioactive compounds. One of particular interest and abundance is CBD, or cannabidiol. It's non-psychoactive, so it can be purchased as a nutritional supplement and it won't get you high. It works in part by inhibiting the action of fatty acid amylase hydrolase. This results in an increase in anandamide. While both marijuana and hemp are the same species, cannabis sativa, they have different varieties and they have different characteristics. The CBD supplements are derived from hemp and they must contain less than 0.3% THC dry weight to legally be sold in the US. Lastly, no discussion on increasing anandamide would be complete without mentioning marijuana. THC, the main psychoactive compound in the marijuana, binds to the same receptor as anandamide. If marijuana is legal where you live, you can decide to give it a try, but keep in mind it's not right for everyone. While it's used to relieve anxiety, improve mood, and reduce memory loss in many people, it can have the opposite effect in others. About 20% of the population has a genetic tendency to have less fatty acid amide hydrolase, the enzyme that breaks down anandamide. These people tend to be less anxious in general, and interestingly, less inclined to enjoy or get addicted to marijuana. They're also more likely to experience a decline in mood when they use it. Richard Friedman, MD, an expert in neurobiology and the treatment of mood and anxiety disorders, finds marijuana swamps and overpowers the brain's cannabinoid system, making it counterproductive for treating anxiety disorders. He also finds regular marijuana use interferes with learning and memory. Another way to boost your anandamide is to get in the zone. Have you ever been so engrossed in an activity that time fades away? That state of heightened focus and peak performance is called being in the zone. Whenever you're in the zone, your brain is flooded with anandamide and other feel-good brain chemicals like serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, and endorphins. For a regular anandamide surge, find a healthy activity that puts you in the zone and do it frequently. Exercising to the point of obtaining a runner's high was usually attributed to the increase in the body's natural pain-killing endorphins, but there's evidence that endocannabinoids like anandamide are more likely to be the brain chemicals responsible for the runner's high. One reason for this change in theory is the discovery that endorphins are too large to cross into the brain, but anandamide isn't. Exercise works on the endocannabinoid system in two ways. It increases blood levels of anandamide, and it improves the sensitivity of the anandamide receptors. Oxytocin is a naturally occurring compound, and it acts as both a hormone and a neurotransmitter. It stimulates the production of anandamide, and so, by increasing oxytocin, you can also increase anandamide. You could check out my video on natural ways to increase oxytocin for more information. One study found levels of anandamide increased by an impressive 168% after an osteopathic manipulation. It seems other treatments like physical therapy, chiropractic treatments, and massage therapy can also offer similar effects. To book a consultation or to learn more about neurotransmitters, herbs, supplements, and natural treatments, check out my website.